Okay, any questions?
Yes, sir. I have two questions. Like the pinch off occurs when that gate voltage is equal to the drain voltage, right?
No, the pinch off occurs when VG minus VD is equal to threshold voltage.
And
Let
the
me show
threshold
you.
voltage is determined by how it is determined.
Yeah, so if you recall this discussion, do you see the slides there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the threshold voltage is the gate voltage when this thin layer of electrons appear. Okay, so when VD becomes such that this VG minus VD, so if we apply a VD voltage, drain voltage here, uh, let me take a pointer. If we apply a drain voltage, so which means this drain voltage is reflected here. If this VG minus VD is less than the threshold voltage, then the channel starts disappearing from here. Because we need a threshold voltage to induce a channel, induce this inversion layer. And as soon as this VG minus VD becomes larger than the threshold voltage, in that case, this pinch off starts happening. And as the VD is increased further, this pinch off becomes even more. Yeah.
Yes,
Is
sir. I
this
got that. And
clear?
sir, one more question. That if we like this MOSFET is of NPN.
Yeah.
So, sir, if we do that PNP and VG is equals to negative and VD also negative, so then it would also work in the similar
Yeah,
fashion.
yeah, yeah. It becomes exactly the same theory will apply there.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So just the polarity of the voltages change. Apart from that, everything remains the same. Polarity means now, as you said, we need to apply negative voltage on gate, negative on drain, and everything else remains the same. So this kind of MOSFET in which this layer is N-type, layer is electrons, this is known as NMOS. NMOS means the MOSFET which uses electrons for conduction. And when the second case in which we have P here, N here, and P here, in that case, this layer will be of holes, and that MOSFET will be known as PMOS. And just to, since this came up, just to sort of remind you that BJT is known as bipolar junction transistor. Bipolar means that both holes and electrons contribute in current conduction there. But in MOSFET, it is a unipolar device. It means that only one kind of carrier is responsible for the current. So that's also one of the major distinctions between the two. Okay.
And sir, both are equally efficient. Like in the working, they are both equally efficient. Like the
Yes,
PMOS
they
and the
are
N.
equal. Yes, in principle, they are the same. And generally, what we use in most of our circuits is known as CMOS. CMOS means complementary MOS. Complementary means that we use a combination of two transistors, and one of those transistors is NMOS, second is PMOS. And this unit, CMOS unit, you might have heard about CMOS somewhere. CMOS is quite popular in name, and CMOS basically has one NMOS, one PMOS, and it can act like an inverter. It can invert a signal. So it's quite important. Both of them do not have exactly the same performance, I would say, but they are quite close to each other in performance because the mobility of holes and the mobility of electrons is different. So that's the main difference. Generally, the electrons are more mobile as compared to the holes. Okay.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. I got it.
Anybody?
Sir, which book
Any
should
other
we
question?
prefer?
To
Which book
understand
should we?
this,
Yes, sir, for reference.
yeah, for to understand MOSFET, I would suggest Streetman and Banerjee Semiconductor Devices book. That's a good book. Although you would read that in your second year, but if you just go to this chapter on the MOSFET, you will understand a lot of things. Any other question? If not, let's close this, and we also need to have a discussion on the circuits as well. So hopefully we will have another class to discuss that. Thank you for joining and see you. Take care.
Thank you, sir.